So this pretty much sums up my state of mind right now. In case you can't see it, this is a mailing from HBO Max. And the first thing I noticed when I pulled it out of the mailbox is that there is a section in here that's thicker and flat and somewhat stiffer than the rest of the envelope. And I thought to myself, not particularly with any form of logic, but I thought to myself, oh boy, maybe there's one of those mailable video players in here, you know, the thing that has a little LCD screen and plays a little clip, because HBO Max seems to be a screw-loose venture anyway, so why shouldn't they be sending out millions of expensive video players to people who are probably going to throw it in the mail without even knowing what's inside? But I thought, you know, okay, cool, you know, something neat to brighten up the day. And so I get it up to the apartment, and I open it up, and it's coasters. Cheap cardboard coasters. And does anybody use coasters anymore? I guess they do. I guess people still want to protect their furniture, but why? And really the only logical thing I can think is that it's for people like me who picked out the envelope and felt something, you know, substantial in there and said, oh boy, something great is inside. And it's coasters. So, but that is kind of what I'm going through. It's like going up the slope and, you know, feeling better, and then right down. You know, not as dramatically with this, just disappointment with this. But yeah, so, you know, 2 weeks ago, you know, I was here and I was saying, well, I've sort of gotten to the point where I understood this is what it's going to be for the duration, and I kind of hit a serenity with that, like a namaste. I was good with it. And then last week, I realized, oh, bleep, this is the way it's going to be for the duration. And then it was like down. And so right now I'm sort of climbing the crest again. This is Wednesday, and last night Biden announced that Kamala Harris was going to be his VP pick. And so, you know, I'm riding that crest now and just pretty much at this point waiting for Trump to do something fascistic to send me down the slope again. But you know what we do when we're in such situations? We review a movie. And so welcome to Dan Records an Hour of the Wolf review. Yes. Once again, you're going to watch me record a review segment for Hour of the Wolf, the radio show that airs on WBAI 99.5 FM in New York and the tri-state area. Do not forget that tri-state area. And if you're watching this, the most recent show has aired. That was on August 14th. It's a bi-weekly show, so the next show is going to be August 28th. But this is the review for the August 14th show. So let's get down to it. And by the way, if you did watch the previous video, you may have noticed that the camera was not quite steady, and actually let me just correct it right now. It wasn't crooked like this, but if you turned left or right, because, you know, it is a 360-degree video, you can swipe around and look around if you're not wearing VR headsets. But if you turn towards one angle or the other, it looked like you were going up a hill. Of course, if you were wearing a VR headset, you probably just naturally tilted your head, and so everything straightened out. But I think things are okay. The intro is going to look crooked, but we're good now. We're on level playing field. So, once again, if you're new to this, let me just go through a few technical notes. I am going to be recording the review for Hour of the Wolf on WBAI 99.5 FM. These past few weeks, I've been trying to do them shorter because the show, which typically ran between 90 minutes to 2 hours, has been cut back to an hour. So I've got to give Jim Freund, the host of the show, as much time as possible. So I'm keeping my reviews tight and less meandering. And that's what you're going to hear. You will also notice, if you have heard the review on the August 14th show, you'll notice that the actual review segment that aired was heavily edited. What you're going to notice is I stumble around a bit and reread sentences and think that I've mispronounced words when actually I haven't, but my brain tells me it hasn't. I gotta listen to my brain. So this is going to be uncut, unfiltered, but beautiful in its way. The other thing is, when I start the recorder, I'm going to give it a few seconds just to capture the room tone, and then when I edit the actual review, I use those few seconds of room tone to filter out the room tone that gets recorded, so it sounds a little better. And I think that covers the technical notes. Let me get a refreshing beverage. Please feel free to join me in a refreshing beverage. What are you drinking? Yes, that's right. I'm drinking the same thing. Vodka. It's warm. Okay. So, first things first, let's start the recorder. Yes, and we are rolling now. Second, let's get the room tone. That should be enough of that. Let me just reposition the microphone a little bit here. Still running. Okay, here we go. Hour of the Wolf review, air date August 15th. And I'm wrong. It's not the 15th, it's the 14th. Okay, let me do it again. Hour of the Wolf review, air date August 14th, 2020. Ride your wave. Take one. I'm Dan Persons, and this is my Hour of the Wolf review. I'll say this right off. I'm not particularly enamored of magical romance Japanese anime, that subgenre of film in which two young people fall in love, are split apart by tragedy or some other lesser circumstance, and are reunited through the intervention of some kind of supernatural force. The leads tend to be a little too callow for my taste, and the stories, even at their dramatic heights, evince an odd reluctance to truly engage the audience. And yeah, those flaws are noticeable in the new anime film Ride Your Wave, now available on home vid in both the original Japanese and an English dub, in which a young oceanography student and avid surfer, Hinako, voiced by Rina Kawai, falls in love with fireman Minato. Voiced by Ryota Kadayose. I'm probably messing up those names big time, sorry. loses him when he, I'm probably messing up those names big time, sorry, loses him when he tries to rescue a drowning surfer, and discovers she can resurrect him in any body of water when she sings their song. When she sings, when she's, and discovers she can resurrect him in any body of water when she sings their song. When she sings their song. But Ride Your Wave is directed by Masaaki Yuasa, a filmmaker who When she sings their song. But Ride Your Wave is directed by Masaaki Yuasa, a filmmaker who, under other circumstances, such as the raunchy fantasy Mind Game, or the very odd and quite philosophical Food Chain episode of Adventure Time, has broken from the anime norm with his distinctive willowy and two-dimensional character designs, has broken from the anime norm with his distinctive willowy and two-dimensional character designs and an impressionistic animation technique that changes formats to fit the moment. And those instincts do show up here in small moments, as when a tortoise hatchling stumbles its way to the sea in rough brushwork, and in more resonant ways, as in how Hinako starts toting the reincarnated, water-bound Minato around in a giant, transparent, inflatable dolphin. Yuasa's scenarios tend to skew to optimism anyway, even if they're punctuated with some pungent humor. So maybe he's leaning towards sweeter storylines of his own free will. But I will note that it feels as if he puts more life into a group of teenagers setting off illegal fireworks than he does with his young lovers. Ride Your Wave plays a little too close to form for my taste, but within the template remains evidence of a filmmaker daring to stray from the path. Daring to stray from the path. And I wanted to make a quick note of a documentary, Big Fur, that just came out on demand this week about Canadian world champion taxidermist, committed believer in cryptozoology, and part-time Roy Orbison impersonator, Roy Orbison. I'm not a big fan of Roy Orbison anyway. Orbison. Maybe that's why I'm having problems pronouncing his name. And part-time Roy Orbison impersonator Ken Walker trying to recreate a Sasquatch. And in doing so, I wanted to observe that sometimes the story a documentarian wants to make is not the story he or she winds up with. In this case, director Dan Wayne was confronted with the dissolution of Walker's marriage in the face of the man's infatuation with a younger protege. The result is that the story doesn't feel quite complete, clearly because certain people, Mrs. Walker and Walker's children notably, weren't inclined to participate once the manure went down. It's an engaging documentary anyway about one person in pursuit of a mythical beast, but there was another tale that needed to be told. For Hour of the Wolf, I'm Dan Persons. Well, for all of that, that actually went a little easier than I was anticipating it was going to go. So, good work, Dan. I hope you enjoyed that at the very least. And Jim Freund, or actually, it isn't Jim Freund, it's WBAI, doesn't want me to be doing charity pitches that don't involve WBAI, and I can understand their position. Things are tough. They'd rather people were helping them than applying their money elsewhere. That stuff happens. But once again, I will say that, yeah, just because like we're going on 6 months with this manure, doesn't mean that things have really stabilized and people are still in trouble and people still need help. And if you want to give in one way or the other to save children, to ACLU, any other charity that's working on multiple fronts these days, you should, if you got a few bucks, you should throw them to whatever charity you think can help in this time. And that's it for the show, or for what amounts to a show, I guess, for this thing. I'm aware I'm kind of melting in front of the camera here. Sorry about that. I hope you did enjoy it. I do hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. I hope everybody, you and everybody around you, are healthy and happy. And hopefully we're going to get through this. Take care.